Hi, everyone. The topic of today's video is based on a person who will be referred to only as Mr. Anonymous. This is what he had to say in his own words. I'm a middle-aged Korean guy living in the United States, and your videos have validated my views about women. I think that you're saving a lot of lives with your work today. I'd want to convey that, in my experience, Korean women are some of the most cunning, clever, and authoritarian women to be found anywhere in the entire world. Throughout my entire life, I have been a megamaniac, and while I was a senior in high school, I dated a girl who was approximately 2 levels above my current status. She was stunning, talented, and exuded an air of endearing allure despite her self-proclaimed hippie status. When we first started dating, I came home after our first kiss and recorded a selfie video about how I was in heaven and how I couldn't believe I kissed an angel. The next day, I played her the video and told her that I couldn't believe I had kissed an angel. I was so stoked from the very beginning that I showed her the video. I can only picture the sense of accomplishment and satiety that she experienced when she realized that my heart was laid out before her to be consumed by her. During the next 2 years, she openly flirted and caressed other guys right in front of me, broke up with me because her feelings for her ex-boyfriend had returned over winter break, and admitted to accidentally hooking up with another dude at a party. She did all of these things. Even after everything that had happened, it was she who had to break up with me because I was too whipped. Writing this depresses me, and I'm ashamed of how easily I got trampled on by women. However, after watching your videos, I felt compelled to share this with you as well as the rest of the MGTOW community. I hope you can help me. Thank you. In order to act as a constant reminder of the vagina's formidable and enslaving power, it goes without saying that every one of my previous girlfriends eventually cheated on me. However, here's the interesting part. I dated an Indian woman, a few Caucasian women, and a few Korean women, and out of all of them, the Korean women are the only ones who have never truly acknowledged to cheating on their partners. My most recent relationship was with the Korean girl who I believed I'd met in a bar. However, it turned out that we met online. She fed my ego with compliments like, "You're so manly, and you're not like all the other guys." But after about a year of dating her, she began to reveal her true colors. At first, she was cute, reserved, down-to-earth, hoofy, and seemingly non-materialistic. She also seemed non-materialistic. She was cute, she was down-to-earth, she was goofy. She seemed non-materialistic. She started doing things like never picking up the phone and calling me back a few minutes later instead, getting wasted at mandatory company functions that lasted late into the night 3 times a week, and flirtatious Facebook messages from her male coworkers on her page started to pop up, but like a moth encircled by a spider's web. One layer at a time, she did things like this. I was still incapable of seeing the truth. The only thing that jolted me out of my marijuana-induced coma was hearing from a friend that she had been on the carousel with her coworkers and a few of my friends from college at the same time. I had no idea that she had been there. At the end of the day, I put the blame for the hallucination I've been having on myself. It's true that she was dishonest and manipulative, but it was just as much about how I didn't want my fantasy to end, because we were imperfect. I suspect that even the most perceptive MGTOWs have blind spots and can fall prey to the most patient female predators who study their prey for many years before stinging them into submission. As soon as they locate that specific blind spot, and that the vaginal beam is so powerful that the male would still believe in his head that he has control over it. Because of this, it's likely that women gravitate toward being in the company of gay men or friend-zone manganas in order to glean information about the male mind. I believe that boys should be doing the same thing, which is basically having an ugly girl around in order to sniff out potential female partners. In order for this to be successful, she would need to be extremely repulsive and utterly devoid of sexual appeal. In any case, my inquiry for you today is as follows. In your experience, what are some of the most concerning warning signs that you should look out for when talking with women? Before going out on dates, I believe that anyone involved in the MGTOW movement who is still dating should read this list in its entirety. Doing so could prove to be very helpful. Thank you for devoting so much of your time and effort to assisting other men, and I hope you have a wonderful day today. The fact that your ex did not admit to cheating demonstrates to me, once again, that Asian women are smarter and better at covering their tracks than either Caucasian or Indian women. However, in terms of warning signs, the first one is obviously the crazy flag. The fact that your ex did not admit to cheating shows me yet again that Asian women are smarter and better at covering their tracks than Caucasian and Indian women. There is a rationale behind why there is a community on Reddit with the name "Don't Stick Your Dick in Crazy." If a lady starts acting insane as soon as you start dating her, you should not have sex with her and you should end the relationship. If it's the very last thing you do, it will just mess you up emotionally because you can't really fall in love with someone who treats you like a doormat. If it is the very last thing you do, it will just mess you up emotionally. So this brings me to the second red flag. About a month or 2 into dating or a relationship, the woman will typically start treating you like dog crap because she knows that you love her. This will usually happen around the time that you hit the 2-month mark in either scenario. It is so strange that she has to act nice to you in order for you to fall in love with her. But as soon as she learns that you are hooked on her like a prize base, she changes her behavior toward you and begins to be rude to you. There are situations when it takes more than a couple of months. I recall that on the anniversary of the first year of our relationship, I was confronted with all of the negative things that I was doing and told that I needed to change about myself. You are familiar with the whole go to treatment, buy me some better gifts, and bring some wine to my mother's house on Friday to hang out with another girlfriend scenario. Because I had only been in 2 significant relationships in my first 15 years as an adult, I didn't think that this kind of behavior was something that was unique to women. It took her almost 2.5 years before she started telling me what to do. I had the impression that it just applied to the one lady who I was dating at the time. Since then, I dated 4 different women, and the warning signs have all been the same each time. Another warning sign that I've seen is that women in their 30s are frequently so desperate to conceive a child that they are willing to have sex with a potential father as soon as possible in order to increase their chances of becoming pregnant. They are looking for people with healthy genes. When they reach the 8th inning of their reproductive years, most people become irrational. They don't want to use condoms, and the only thing that seems to interest them is becoming pregnant. They are not concerned with issues pertaining to STD, condoms, or the pill. That, to me, is a warning sign that all you are is a sperm donor, and you should get the heck out of there as soon as humanly feasible. If she doesn't have a financial plan, then you're the financial bailout plan for her, and if that means marrying you or basically getting pregnant to get child support and alimony, then so be it. Another major warning sign is a woman in her late 20s or 30s who is in debt or has very little money saved. This is a sign that the relationship is not going to end well. They are desperate. So keep in mind that women in their late 20s and 30s who are having money problems are aware that their only hope of having a good lifestyle in the future and living the good life is to find a man who will provide it for them. If they have wealthy parents and a substantial inheritance, then I often find that they are willing to treat you poorly right off the bat when they meet you because they don't really need you to basically fall in love with them. On the other hand, if they have become successful on their own by the time they are in their early to mid-30s, then you need a man for money and you should be that man. If she treats you disrespectfully, immediately back away. It doesn't matter how wealthy she is or who her parents are, you need to get away from her as soon as you can. Women who have been married more than once, especially if they are single mothers, as well as women who are unable to maintain a relationship for longer than 6 months, should raise immediate red flags. Other red flags that should be raised early on include how she behaves toward wait staff while dining out or on dates. If she is impolite and disrespectful toward them, it indicates that she lacks respect and decency. These warning signs are not hard to spot. Rather, you should be on the lookout for women who try to appear mysterious, since they are the ones you really need to be cautious of. The truly astute women are aware that the only way a woman can basically hide red indicators is to be quiet, subservient, and play dumb or shy when she is confronted with them. The fact that I can't communicate with those women is one of the things that scares me the most about them. You never know what's going on beneath the surface with those women. If she tells you that she's shy, but then you see her being outgoing with her friends and family, then it's likely that she's exaggerating her shyness. When she does this, it's clear that she's trying to conceal her genuine feelings from you. The best approach to find out information like this is to ask your other pals. If she alters her behavior when you are around and the people she interacts with say yes, then you could have an aspiring actress on your hands. You'll never know what she's thinking until you're basically neck deep in it. And ironically, this is both the best and worst woman to be in a relationship with. She knows how to be submissive and let a man dominate her. But at the same time, she rules the relationship from a psychological level because she's hiding from you in plain sight. This phrase perfectly describes the relationship that I was in for almost 10 years. Looking back on it now, the fact that my girlfriend kept to herself and hid things from me made what was essentially the best relationship I've ever had possible because there wasn't really a connection there to begin with. As you can all see, there are quite a few warning signs, such as feeding your ego, which is still another major red flag. In the past, whenever a lady would do something to stroke my ego, I would insult her in return. I had no idea why I was acting in this manner at the time, but looking back, I see that I was unconsciously attempting to shield myself from the ego-stroking flattery that women often provide. If a lady wants to have sex too soon after meeting you, this is another warning sign. If she wants it before you do, then she is either trying to emotionally lock you in as quickly as possible or she has no respect for herself and is willing to let someone she hardly knows into her body. Either way, she is obviously a carousel rider. If she wants it before you do, then she is trying to emotionally lock you in as quickly as possible. Consider the several instances that she has performed such action in the past. Women, to use the metaphor from the turd-flinging monkey, are like roller coasters. The ride only lasts for a few minutes, and there is typically a queue of other men waiting behind you to get on it. There are so many warning signs that if I were to give them to you one by one, it would take me all day. However, the more people you date, the more of these warning signs you are going to see in the future, to the point where you will begin to view all women as manipulative and dishonest. They all use the same strategies, but in the past, men and women only dated a small handful of people before getting married. As a result, the majority of men, including myself, were completely ignorant about the nature of women. When man finally gets the divorce papers, of course, he is completely shocked because the men had no prior knowledge of women. Either you love women or you understand them, but you can't love and comprehend them at the same time. Other red flags include if she never calls you and expects you to be the one calling her all the time. Talking to an ex-boyfriend usually means that she wants to monkey branch back to him, and are just keeping the seat warm like those people at the Oscars who fill the seats when the celebrity has to go take a piss, and as soon as the celebrity is back, they're whisked away. Other red flags include never calling you and expecting you to be the one calling her all the time. Once the frequency and intensity of the red flags become impossible to ignore, the method that I find most helpful when it comes to dating is to make a list of all of them and keep track of how often they occur. It is now time to yank the ripcord and exit the vehicle. When you start pointing out warning signs to her, it's only going to get worse and crash faster than it already has been going downhill. It is at this point that disagreements typically start, and if you've learned to recognize the warning signs, it will be impossible for you to ignore them in the future. Therefore, you should commit to memory the facts that I have just discussed at your own risk. If you are going to go on a date, my advice is that as soon as you notice any warning signs, you break up the relationship as soon as you possibly can. If she is timid and subservient toward you, then she is trying to conceal something from you and is not communicating with you. Irrational thought is endemic to all females. Those who claim otherwise are either lying or pretending to be reasonable in order to conceal their irrationality. They are usually ashamed of being women, which is bad for their self-esteem, and if they have terrible self-esteem, then that is another red flag, because if their esteem ever increases, they might actually think they can do better than you, and then you will be history. And just so you know, the women who hide in plain sight typically wear black and have very high IQ. I believe that incredibly astute women are the ones who raise the red flags in an effort to attract the least amount of attention to themselves as possible. I would really appreciate it if everyone who has an opinion would share it in the comments section below. Please don't be bashful about doing so. We would like to thank you for taking your daily dose of red pills and remind you that taking one red pill a day keeps the divorce attorneys away. With that in mind, we hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and we raise a glass to you.